Welcome to the Library of Awakening, hosted by CyberX, a space where curiosity meets courage and ideas come alive. Here we explore the thoughts that challenge, inspire, and sometimes even unsettle us, because growth often begins with discomfort. So, welcome to the journey. May this space inspire you to ask questions, explore the unknown, and most importantly, to awaken. This is the Library of Awakening. What is going on, Library of Awakening family? Welcome back to another episode. In today's video, we're going to be diving back into Fallen Angels, Origin of Evil, reading through a few more chapters here, spending some time with you guys today. If you guys enjoy these deep dives, reading these books for you, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. We're diving back into this book today. As I mentioned in the previous read, that you guys seem to have liked. This video got over 278 views, 13 likes. I really do appreciate the love and the support. You guys seem to have liked this one. We're almost at 200 subscribers. I cannot thank you guys enough. We're going to continue to pump out good, valuable content for you guys, reading thoroughly through the books that are shared with inside the private CyberX Discord in the Library of Awakening section. So without further ado, let's head over real fast to the CyberX Discord. There has been so many juicy and valuable books shared inside the Ancient Wisdom tab inside the Library of Awakening section here. You guys can see the multitude of different tabs here that we have: Ancient Wisdom, Symbolism, Esotericism, Human Psychology, Self-Mastery, Wealth Building, Economics, the Digital Evolution, Trading Psychology, Market Behavior, Elite Agendas, Expanded Consciousness, Astrology, Symbols, the Tarot, Religion, Spirituality. Well, inside the Ancient Wisdom section book, where this Fallen Angels, Origin of Evil book is located, just recently over 50 new books have been dropped inside this section alone. So super excited to dive into some of these books in the future, heading into 2026 with you guys. Literally cannot describe the vast amounts of knowledge and information that are shared with inside the private CyberX Discord. If you guys at any point in time, look at this one, Alchemy Unveiled, that book just caught my eye right there. At any point in time you guys want to dive into any of these books, you guys can always head over to cyberxtrading.com. You can lock in with us inside the private CyberX Discord. We'd love to have you on the team. The Lost Ways. Ooh, that one looks good too. All right, so diving into the next two chapters, which I believe is what we will be able to get through today, of the Fallen Angels and the Origins of Evil. In the previous two chapters, we had touched on Enoch, touched on the Fallen Angels. There was a lot of good information in the first two chapters. Make sure that if you guys are watching this one for the first time, you go back and you watch the previous update, which was from 2 days ago, this one here, why the Book of Enoch was suppressed. Really great info in this lady's book here, Elizabeth. So to continue to read, this is now the third chapter, titled Christ Approves the Book of Enoch. All right, so let's dive into this one today. Most scholars say that the present form of the story in the Book of Enoch was penned sometime during the 2nd century BC and was popular for at least 500 years. The earliest Ethiopic text was apparently made from a Greek manuscript, the Book of Enoch, which itself was a copy of an earlier text. The original was apparently written in a Semitic language and now thought to be Aramaic. Though it was once believed to be post-Christian, the similarities to Christian terminology and teachings are striking. Discoveries of the copy of the book among the Dead Sea Scrolls, which I have here. Eventually, we will get into the Dead Sea Scrolls on this podcast and on this YouTube channel. The Dead Sea Scrolls found that Qumran proved that the book was in existence way before the time of Jesus Christ. But the date of the original writing upon which the Qumran copies of the 2nd century BC were based is shrouded in obscurity. It is, in a word, old. It has largely been the opinion of historians that the book does not really contain the authentic words of the ancient biblical patriarch Enoch, since he would have lived according to the chronologies in the book of Genesis, several thousand years earlier than the first known appearance of the book attributed to him. But of course, the contemporary historians' knowledge of Judaic scriptural history is by no means complete. As time progresses, new discoveries may help clarify the picture painted by the rabbinical tradition in the Zohar, which implies that Enoch's writings were passed faithfully from generation to generation. Despite its unknown origins, Christians once accepted the words of this Book of Enoch as authentic scripture, especially the part about the fallen angels and their prophesied judgment. In fact, many of the key concepts used by Jesus Christ himself seem directly connected to terms and ideas in the Book of Enoch. Thus, it is hard to avoid the conclusion that Jesus had not only studied the book, but also respected it highly enough to adopt and elaborate on its specific descriptions of the coming kingdom and its theme of inevitable judgment descending upon the wicked. The term most often used in the Old Testament to describe the watchers, see concealed references to the watchers. I'm assuming that that's another book. There is an abundant proof that Christ approved the Book of Enoch. Over 100 phrases in the New Testament find precedence in the Book of Enoch. Our Lord betuted, it's an interesting word. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth, in Matthew 5:5. Perhaps renders Enoch 6:9. The elect shall possess light, joy, and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. Likewise, Jesus scolding, woe unto that man whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born, in Matthew 26:24, is reminiscent of Enoch's. Where will be the place of the rest for those who have rejected the Lord of spirits? It would have been better for them had they never been born, and Enoch 38:2. The Book of Enoch also contains precedents for Jesus' assertion of many mansions in the Father's house in John 14:2. And Enoch 39:4 reads, I saw the habitations and couches of the saints. There my eyes beheld their habitations with the angels and their couches with the holy ones. They were entreating, supplicating, and praying for the sons of men, while righteousness, like water, flowed before them. Another Enochian parallel is found in Luke 18:7. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? In Enoch 47, verse 2, we read, In that day shall the holy ones assemble, who dwell above the heavens, and with united voice petition, supplicate, praise, laud, and bless the name of the Lord of spirits on an account of the blood of the righteous which has been shed, that the prayer of the righteous may not be intermitted before the Lord of the spirits, that for them he would execute judgment, and that his patience may not endure forever. Jesus' well of water springing up into everlasting life in John 4:14 perhaps parallels Enoch's 48:1, the fountain of righteousness, which never failed. The biblical term children of light is a term that possibly stems from Enoch's generation of light. And Enoch 105:25 reads, And now will I call the spirits of the good from the generation of light, and will change those who have been born in darkness. Jesus' explanation of the afterlife of the righteous is nearly identical to Enoch in 54, that says, All the righteous shall become angels in heaven. Matthew records Jesus as saying, For in the resurrection they are as the angels of God in heaven, in Matthew 22:30. And the woe unto you that are rich, Luke 6:24, of Jesus Christ is found almost verbatim in Enoch. Woe to you who are rich, for in your riches have you trusted, but from your riches you shall be removed, because you have not remembered the Most High in the days of your prosperity. And Enoch 93:7. The list of parallels runs longer than can be summarized here. Therefore, we have listed them in biblical parallels to the Book of Enoch. So, yes, that is a book that we will definitely strive to get into here on this channel. But two further themes central both to Christ's teachings and to the Book of Enoch ought to be noted. First, the term Son of Man, often used by Jesus, finds great elaboration in the Book of Enoch. It has long been thought that Jesus, and his use of the term Son of Man referring to himself, originated with Daniel 7:13. But prominent scholars believe that it was the Book of Enoch which provided this key term to Jesus. Although Lawrence's translation does not reflect it, it seems that Enoch himself was called by God Son of Man. Biblical scholar H. Rowley points out that various translators have hedged on this passage, mistranslating it or even attempting to change the original text that applies the words, "Thou art the Son of Man," to Enoch. Lawrence's translation of the key passage, perhaps for doctrinal reasons, substitutes the words offspring of man for the literal translation son of man. And by contrast, when the term Son of Man clearly refers to Jesus Christ, Lawrence uses it without hesitation. Lawrence's translation reads, "Then that angel came to me, and with his voice saluted me, saying, Thou art the offspring of man, who art born for righteousness, and righteousness has rested on thee." In Enoch 70:17 through 23. Lawrence's choice of words is duly noted in his volume in the Book of Enoch. The second theme, important to both the Book of Enoch and the teachings of Jesus Christ, concern the judgment and the great tribulation. Jesus depicts the Gentile judgment executed by the Son of Man, his angels with him, as recorded in Matthew 25:31 through 32 and 41 and 46. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all Gentiles. And he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. Next he will say to those on his left hand, Go away from me, with your curse upon you, the judgment of God upon the watchers, to the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his fallen angels. In the Jerusalem Bible, and these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal. The same scene is described in Enoch 45:3 and 66:5 through 7. In that day shall the elect one sit upon a throne of glory and shall choose their conditions in countless habitations, while their spirits within them shall be strengthened. When they behold my elect one, shall choose them for those who have fled for protection to my holy and glorious name. I beheld that valley in which there was great perturbation, and where the waters were troubled. And when all this was affected from the fluid mass of fire, and the perturbation was prevailed in that place, there arose a strong smell of sulphur, which became mixed with the waters. And the valley of the angels who had been guilty of seduction burned underneath its soil. Through that valley also rivers of fire were flowing, to which those angels shall be condemned, who seduced the inhabitants of the earth. In Matthew 24:7, 21 through 22, and 29 through 30, Jesus' prophecy on the Great Tribulation is recorded. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. These passages are entirely consistent with the great drama of judgment as it unfolds in the Book of Enoch. In Enoch 79, Archangel Ariel gives Enoch the vision of those things that the Son of Man would also tell us must be fulfilled. In those days Ariel answered and said to me, Behold, I have showed thee all things, O Enoch, And all things I have revealed to thee. Thou seest the sun, the moon, and those which conducted the stars of heaven, which cause other operations, seasons, and arrivals to return. In the days of sinners, the years shall be shortened, their seed shall be backward in their prolific soil, and everything done on earth shall be subverted and disappear in its season. The rain shall be restrained, and heaven shall stand still. In those days, the fruits of earth shall be late and not flourish in their season. And in their season, the fruits of the trees shall be withholden. The moon shall change its laws and not be seen as its proper period. But in those days shall heaven be seen, and barrenness shall take place in the borders of the great chariots in the west. Heaven shall shine. Geez, say that one 5 times fast. Heaven shall shine more than when illuminated by the orders of light. While many chiefs among the stars of authority shall err, perverting their ways and works, those shall not appear in their season who command them, and all the classes of the stars shall be shut up against sinners. Note that in Enoch, the stars are revealed to be a hierarchy of angels, some of whom pervert their ways and works, while Jesus says they shall fall from heaven and their powers be shaken. And Mother Mary declares in the Magnificent that her Son shall put down the mighty watchers from their seats of authority on earth, which they have usurped from the children of light, them of low degree. The idea that Jesus' teachings may have been dependent in a broad sense upon a former theological work rather than an all new and never before revealed teaching straight from heaven has troubled some. In 1891, Reverend William J. Dean protested against connecting Jesus' teachings to the newly published Book of Enoch, noting, indignantly, we are asked to believe that our Lord and his apostles consciously or unconsciously introduced their speech and writing ideas and expressions most decidedly derived from Enoch. But one can only conclude that it was a conscious decision on the part of the beloved rabbi teacher to include Enoch among the Old Testament prophets he so frequently cited. The law and the prophets quoted by Jesus Christ, even as a boy of 12, Jesus Christ revealed his understanding of the scriptures to the doctors of the temple at Jerusalem, who were astonished at his question and his answers. In his Sermon on the Mount, Jesus declared himself to be a fulfillment of both the law and the prophets. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I'm not come to destroy, but to fulfill, in Matthew 5:17. When Jesus returned from the temptation in the wilderness to Galilee in the power of the Spirit, he went into the synagogue at Nazareth and announced his ministry as the fulfillment of the prophecy of Isaiah 61, 1 through 2. Since the Master was obviously familiar with the Book of Enoch in some form, might not his reference to the law and the prophets have included the great work of the prophet who was the father of Methuselah and the great grandfather of Noah, i.e., Enoch? I believe that Jesus came to pick up the mantle of Enoch as the messenger of the ancient days and his ongoing prophecy to the watchers. I believe that the son of David came with the authority of our father Enoch, who said, so has he created and given to me the power of improving the watchers, the offspring of heaven. In Enoch 14:2. Indeed, Jesus came to fulfill the law and the prophecy of the judgment by the incarnate world. Both in his fierce rebuke of those scribes and Pharisees who had prated the letter but had not the spirit of Moses, and in his concise statement of his mission, for judgment I come, John 9:39, Jesus made clear that he knew of the prophesied judgment and saw it occurring both in his time and at the end of the age. He studiously understood the mechanism of the judgment of the fallen angels as an authority given by the Father to the Son. For the Father judgeth no man, but hath committed all judgment unto the Son, that all men should honor thy Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honoureth not the Son honoureth not the Father which hath sent him. For as the Father hath life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself, and hath given him authority to execute judgment also because he is the Son of Man. In John 5:22 through 23, and 26:27. This power to execute judgment Jesus transferred to his apostles and Enoch select because he was the Son of Man. Verily I say unto you that ye which have followed me in the regeneration when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel, in Matthew 19:28. And I appoint unto you a kingdom as my Father hath appointed unto me, yet may eat and drink at my table, yet ye may eat and drink at my table in the kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel, in Luke 22:29 through 30. In addition to the familiar references to the Old Testament, Jesus may have been alluded to the prophecies in apocryphal texts not included by the church fathers or the rabbis who selected the books that comprise our current Christian Bible and Judaic scriptures, which we so interestingly enough made a video about prior to this one. A number of previously unknown texts discovered at Qumran and Nag Hammadi indicate that Jesus taught from other writings in the manner of an ancient wisdom teacher. We also have a collection of the Nag Hammadi scriptures here on the shelf as well, which maybe one day we'll get into. Yale professor Charles Cutler Torrey cites evidence that Jesus quoted from a now lost apocryphal work. He points to Luke 11:49-51, which reads, Therefore also, said the wisdom of God, I will send them prophets and the apostles, and some of them shall slay and persecute, that the blood of all the prophets which was shed from the foundation of the world may be required of this generation from the blood of Abel unto the blood of Zechariah, which perished between the altar and the temple. Verily I say unto you, it shall be required of this generation. Although partial phrases in some of the above subject matter may be found in the Old Testament, this statement of Jesus is not to be found intact anywhere in the Hebrew Scriptures. It is Torrey's contention that Luke introductory phrase said, the wisdom of God indicates that Jesus is quoting directly from a source that is now apparently lost. It is my opinion that not only did Jesus quote material from sources not included in the Old Testament, but that he did so in order to further elaborate on the judgment as the coming due of the accountability of the watchers for their murderer of the light bearers, which these fallen ones had carried on continuously from the foundation of the world. Furthermore, Torrey notes that there are other references in the New Testament to scriptural works that have now vanished, but which were known to the apostles. One such reference can be found in Matthew 27:9-10. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they of the children of Israel did value, and gave them for the potter's field. And the Lord appointed me. The text, Matthew says, he is quoting from Jeremiah is not the prophet's book found in the Old Testament today, but the 4th century church father Jerome wrote that a member of the Nazarene sect showed him an apocryphal text of Jeremiah in which Matthew's quotation could be seen in its exact form. Thus, it appears that Matthew's version of the book of Jeremiah had teachings that had been deleted by the time of the 4th century. The idea that Jesus might have quoted from a book he felt was inspired with the spirit of the patriarch Enoch just as readily as he might quote from the Torah of Moses is not as preposterous as Dean chose to believe. Why else would the apostle Jude, who is believed to be the brother of Jesus, base an entire epistle on the story of a fallen angel as told in Enoch? I believe he was quoting the Lord's emphatic exegesis on the patriarch's work in that Jesus saw himself as one who came to expose the generation of the seed of the wicked, i.e., the watchers, whom he and John the Baptist called vipers, among other epithets, and to save from the intrigue of the incarnate angels of descendants of Adam through Seth, the sons of Jared, and the children of the seed of light. Jesus came to pick up the thread of Enoch, to build upon the very teaching, the crux in theological history, where Enoch left off. So the next chapter is titled Enoch's Influence on the Apostles. So Maybe in a future video breakdown, we'll come back to this one. We have almost gone on for 30 minutes. Again, another very interesting chapter, jam packed with insightful information into religious history and the truth surrounding the Book of Enoch. As always, if you guys enjoyed today's video breakdown, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Super excited to bring future episodes to your guys' attention, reading some more of these books that have been shared inside the private CyberX Discord. Keep in mind again that if anybody wants access to all of these books, literally thousands of books covering all these topics that we go over in the Library of Awakening, you guys can always head over to cyberxtrading.com. We'd love to have you on the team. Many blessings. Be cognizant, be aware out there, and I will see you guys in the next episode. I know some of the perspectives that I share may be as challenging for you as they once were for me, but isn't that the beauty of exploration? Every perspective, no matter how unconventional, has something valuable to contribute to it if it's shared. Knowledge is not absolute. It's a living, breathing phenomena, shaped and reshaped over time. The important thing is not always be right, but to always be curious. Explore freely, share boldly, and learn deeply. And don't rely solely on others to validate your discoveries. Stand firm in integrity, even in the face of criticism. Remember that growth always means embracing the humility to admit when we're wrong. Learning from our errors is not a setback, it's the very essence of our progress. So, welcome to the journey. May this space inspire you to ask questions, explore the unknown, and most importantly, to awaken. This is the Library of Awakening,